You are marvelous, yeah. 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 Yeah. You are marvelous, yeah. You are marvelous, yeah. You are marvelous, yeah. You are marvelous, yeah. In Jesus' name. First King chapter 3 from verse 17 to 27. Can we read? Are you there? Can we read? And one woman said, "Oh my Lord, I and this woman, we dwell in one house, and I was delivered of a child with her in the house. And it came to pass the third day that after I was delivered, that this woman was delivered also. And we were together. There was no stranger with us in the house, save we two in the house. And this woman child died in the night because she overlaid it. She slept on the child. The woman slept on her own child and the child died. And she arose at midnight and she took my own child. She took my son from beside me while thy handmaid slept and laid it in her bosom and laid her dead child in my bosom. And when I arose in the morning to give my child suck, behold, it was dead. And when I had considered it in the morning, behold, it was not my son which I did bear. And the other woman said, Nay, but the living is my son, and the dead is thy son. And this said, No, but the dead is thy son, and the living is my son. And they spake before the king. And said the king, and one said, This is my son that liveth, and thy son is the dead. And the other said, Nay, but thy son is dead, and my son is the living. 24. And the king said, Bring me a sword. And they brought a sword before the king. And the king said, Divide the living child into two, and give half to the one and half to the other. Then spake the woman whose the living child was unto the king, for her bowels yearned upon her son. And she said, O my Lord, give her the living child, and is no wise slay it. But the other said, Let it be neither mine nor thine, but divide it. 27. Then the king answered and said, Give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. She is the mother thereof. May the Lord bless the reading of his word. I'm speaking on divine recovery. Tell your neighbor, divine recovery. Tell your neighbor, divine recovery. Two friends were sleeping in the night, as innocent and as innocent as the heart of the other. She was sleeping in the same room, in the same house with a friend. And in the middle of the night, one of them slept on her own child, and the child died. And as they were sleeping in the night, the one that the child died woke up and carried the dead one and dropped it in front of her friend's bosom, and carried the living child of her friend, and she kept it in front of herself. And in the morning, when the friend woke up, she wanted to change the diapers of the child. She wanted to give suck to the child, and she discovered that her child is dead. And she said, No, this is not my child. Something is wrong somewhere. And she said, My friend, this child is not my child, it's your own. She said, No, it's your child. And they went before the king. And the king said, Who is the mother of the child? The one that is the living said, It's my child. The other one said, No, it's my child. The other one said, No, it's my child. This one said, It's my child. And the king said, Okay, no problem. We are going to do it like this. Give me sword. I will cut this boy into two. I will give you people half. Everybody go with half of the baby. I will cut the baby into two. Go with the half of the dead body. You go with the half of the dead body for this case to settle. The one that is not the real mother say, Yes, king, you did well. Divide the baby for us. But the one that is the original owner say, King, please don't divide the baby. Don't kill the baby. It will not be okay. Give her the child. If the child grow, he will know the mother. And the king said, this one that said they should not divide the baby is the real owner of the baby. Give her a baby. Give her a baby. And you that is lying, go and face your punishment. Now hear me. They were sleeping in the night. And the child died. In the middle of the night, they exchanged a living child with a dead child. No wonder the Bible says in Matthew 13 that while men slept, the enemy sowed tares among the wheat. Some were sleeping in the night. They took favor and gave them labor. Some were sleeping in the night. They took their good health and gave them sickness. Some were sleeping in the night. They took their beauty and they gave them rejection. Some were sleeping in the night. They took sales from their shop and they put cobweb in front of the shop. Some were sleeping in the night. Unknown to them, they took something from them. And when they wake up in the morning, they'll begin to look around their life. They'll say, no, this is not how my life is supposed to be. They will say, no, this is not where I'm supposed to be. I know that the economy is not favorable, but no. I know there is a doctor's result, but no, this is not how I am supposed to be. But there will still be a conviction that will be telling them it is normal. It is normal. It is normal. Am I talking to somebody? So there are some people that were sleeping in the night. They took what originally belonged to them. And it is the spiritual that controls the physical. What happened to you in the night determines how you will run your day in the morning. There is no physical accomplishment without spiritual enforcement. I'm not talking to somebody here. So there are people that were sleeping. They took something from them unknown to them. But the most interesting part of it is that if they should carry something from you and you know, you look for what they carry. What if they carry something from you and you don't know? How? What if you were sleeping in the night and they carry something from you and you don't know? But there are people that know. Some of you listening to me, you know by yourself that there is something wrong somewhere. There are some of you listening to me, you know by yourself that there is an error somewhere. You said this is not how my life is supposed to be. Am I talking to somebody here? The best truth is the truth you tell yourself. The day you keep denying yourself of the truth, you will continue living in self-denial. You must be honest to yourself to receive divine recovery. The Bible said, and when the prodigal son came to himself, self-examination is one of the things that prompt recovery. You must first of all sit down, self-examine yourself and tell yourself, be truthful to yourself. Which area of your life do you need recovery? Church is not following me.
I hear you, sir.
Everywhere is quiet. Church is not following me.
We follow you, sir.
Be truthful. Self-examine yourself. Which area of your life do you need recovery? The prodigal son said, the Bible said, and when he came to himself, he said, how long will I stay here and die of hunger when servants are eating well in my father's house? Until you come to ask yourself, until you start talking to yourself. There are some of us while growing up, or even now, there are some of us that like talking to ourselves sometimes. Sometimes it is good to talk to yourself until they catch you. There are people that know how to talk to themselves. There are people that go to the front of the mirror, they'll be looking at me talking to yourself. Say, oh boy, try this one what you do. Try. They'll be talking to. If you can't tell yourself that truth yet, you are not ready for destiny. You must tell yourself the truth yourself. Where you did not do well, tell yourself. If you have one character you need to change, look at the mirror and tell yourself, change for your own good. Don't say I was born like that. Change. If you can't look at the mirror, if you can't talk to yourself, the prodigal son first of all spoke to himself. That is when he was able to be restored to his father's house. Talk to yourself. There are some advice that it is you that is good to give yourself. There are some advice that some people will not be able to tell you because they don't know how you will feel hearing it from them. But if you can talk to yourself, you will help yourself. Yes. Because grace uplifts, character sustains.
Write us.
Yes.
Us more, Papa.
Grace will uplift, but character will sustain the upliftment. Grace has lifted a lot of people, but bankruptcy of character have dislodged them from where grace kept them. Vashti became a queen by grace, but character sent her away from the palace.
Yes, sir. Preachers.
So you can be beautiful, eloquent, have the connection, have the qualification, but at the end of the day, it will end with ridicule if there's no character. So grace uplifts, character sustain the upliftment. So grace can bring you to an office, and character can send someone away from the office.
Yes, sir.
So until you're able to come to yourself and self-examine yourself and discover that something is wrong, you cannot recover. Before you can recover, you must first discover.
Yes, sir.
Write it down. You discover to recover.
Oh, yes.
You discover to recover. You don't recover what you have not discovered.
Yes.
That is why when you go to the hospital, they will tell you to first of all carry out a test. Test means discovery. When you go to any qualified office, they will tell you go and run a test. If it is something that has to do with the bone, they will tell you go and run a scan. If it is something that has to do with the blood, they will tell you go and run a lab test. That is when you will come to the lab and they will take your blood or take any part, your urine or anything that they're going to use for that test. They will first of all cross-examine you before they will know the right medicine to give to you. So giving medicine without running a test in most cases is a quack treatment.
Oh, yes.
That is quack treatment. That is self-medication. And medically, it is wrong. So you apply solution when you find the problem.
Yes, sir.
So you ask for recovery when you know what is missing. You ask for recovery when you discover what is rightly missing. When the woman woke up in the morning, she knew that all is not well. They are telling her, wow, you are looking well. But she knows that all is not well. Am I talking to somebody here?
Yes,
and that is what I want you to know. For you to be able to recover, you must first of all discover. There are people that as they are growing, it powers from their foundation who took them up and took something from them and gave them a wrong thing. But I prophesy, anything that have been stolen from you, anything that belongs to you that have been stolen from you, I decree and I declare by the divine oil of God here, let there be restoration in your life. Hey, man, sit down. Restoration. Recovery is what I want to pray for you for. That thing that they carry unknown to you, that thing that you did not know, you were sleeping in the night, they carried it. That thing that when you were born, a evil woman touched you and carried it. That thing that when you were born, the first water they used in bathing you, the powers from the water carried it from you. Today, the restoration has begun. So any demonic manipulation, addiction that was done in the night spiritually, takes someone that has spiritual capacity to undo it. Advice, no, they stop that one. Advice, no, if you like advice from today to tomorrow, when you go and do it again. But when it is spiritual, immediately you disconnect the wire. So if they hear the smell, they start vomiting. So you must first of all discover which area of your life do you need the recovery. This woman woke up and said, this is not my child. I know that this is not my child. And the most important thing is that the both of them slept on the same bed. That is for you to know that they are very close. And no matter how close they were, in the night they needed to exchange. And now child in that situation is talking about the future, because child is talking about future of a man. That is to say they exchanged a future. Am I talking to somebody? Yes. They exchanged her tomorrow. They took her living tomorrow and gave her a dead tomorrow. There are people that are supposed to be great. There are people that are supposed to be great. There are people that are supposed to be great. But today, the devil have useless them and exchanged their glory. The devil have useless them and exchanged their what? Glory. There is a madman in my hometown that people used to give him 15 naira for him to talk to them about their life. And I'm not joking. When they give him money, he will talk to them about their life, and everything he's saying is true. Mad, totally mad. Oh. He will tell them, he will start praying for them, start telling them things about their life. And everybody will be surprised. But why is he mad? What it means is that there is a gift of dream and interpretation. There is a gift that he has in himself. But the enemy saw it and they made him useless, not to use the gift.
Oh, yes.
So he's just using the remnant. He's just using the remnant. Many years ago at Ibro Junction, Inida was traveling with my dad, and we were there, and he just passed. He was using his leg to pass sand. He just passed. I think I was in GS1 there, and he saw me and he said, "Pastor." I was not a pastor then. I've never even thought of becoming a minister then. He said, "Pastor," and I look at my dad and now laugh. I know be pastor now. I'm telling you a true life story. I said, "I know be pastor now." My dad now gave him money and he passed. Today, what am I? I'm just giving you this instance. It is something that will never forget you tomorrow. And he's mad. How is that possible? They saw that he has this grace. They saw that there is a deposit in him that this generation will enjoy from. So before he will use it, they useless him. Do you know how many talented musicians that are under the bondage of addiction and it has made their life useless? A young man died in Benue. Is the second of Zulezu. They used to sing together. So we used to watch the both of them while growing up. So the other one is my Instagram friend, and he went for the burial in Benue, and I was asking, "Man, what happened?" He was addicted to weed till he became mad. After the madness left him, depression entered and he died. The gift wasted. All the dance wasted. Because witches and wizards put hand for him matter. They took his glory, they took his craft and gave him addiction. And when it comes on such person, the person will say, "Nothing they happen, nothing they happen." They will never see the error. It is people around that will see the error. And the devil will be giving them 1,001 reasons not to see it. But after deliverance and after recovery, the person should first of all advise himself that this thing I'm not doing again. Am I talking to somebody here? Yes. So when the woman discovered that this child is not a child, when they went before the king said, "What are we going to do now? Let us scatter this child into two." And she said, "No, don't cut the baby into two. Give it to her." And God gave Solomon the wisdom. And he said, "All right, carry the living child and give it to her. She's the real mother." And that was how restoration and recovery came to her. Despite it was done in the night, God's mercy spoke for her. A man that understood the way of God and was carrying the oil of his father David was able to use divine wisdom to recover what was stolen in the night.
Oh, yes.
And that type of thing happens once in a while if you are under grace. Because what was stolen in the night cannot be easily restored in the day.
Yes,
it must first of all be restored in the night. You must know, the Bible says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers operating in high places." So you should understand that every spiritual transaction of interchanging destiny, demonic burial, the change, they are mostly done in the night. So whenever you are in service like this, you should know that last night there is a transaction that happened in your favor.
Yes,
it is you now to cooperate to collect.